All right, you have got to hear this story. It's about what happens when corporate arrogance slams headfirst into a brick wall of contractual genius. We're talking about an executive, a 20-year veteran, who gets fired in the most humiliating way possible, only for the company to realize, way too late, that she was the only person holding the keys to their biggest $900 million project.
So it all starts with this text message. 6:12 a.m., no punctuation, nothing. Just this cryptic warning from the company's old grizzled legal counsel. Imagine getting that while you're pouring your morning coffee. This is the moment, right? The quiet before a storm that only one person knew was about to hit.
So let's get into Act 1, the sunset. This is all about the firing itself, which was cold, it was public, and as you're about to see, it was a massive, massive miscalculation. And here's the guy behind that miscalculation, Blake Carrington. He's the founder's son, fresh out of some Ivy League school, and now he's the new acting CEO. He walks in, armed with his whole arsenal of empty corporate buzzwords. He's all about forward pivots and getting rid of legacy workflows, all with the kind of slick confidence of someone who's never actually had to do the real work. And this is how he did it. Not in a private meeting in HR. Oh no. In a packed boardroom during a quarterly planning session. Her name, Margaret, just popped up on a slide next to a big red X and the words "Roll Sunset." 20 years of her life. Just boom. Reduced to a bullet point on a PowerPoint.
But here's the thing Blake totally didn't see coming. Her reaction. There was no crying, no yelling. She just stood up, slid her security badge across that big glass table, turned around, and walked out. And her quiet exit, it just left this heavy, super awkward silence in the room. That was the very first clue that they had just made a huge, huge mistake. Which brings us to Act 2, the ticking clause. So now Margaret's at home, probably enjoying that coffee, and the chaos that she knew was coming starts to unfold. The whole operation begins to unravel.
I mean, it didn't take long. Within a couple of hours, her inbox is just exploding. Slack is going nuts, project leads are totally stuck, approvals are just dead in the water, and everyone's asking, hey, where's Margaret? Blake really thought he could just delete her name from the org chart and everything would just keep on humming. He was so wrong. And here it is, the secret weapon, Clause 17.2. See, years ago, Margaret herself helped write this little gem into the contract. It's basically an insurance policy with some serious teeth. It says the named compliance officer, specifically, has to be physically present to sign off on things. And guess whose name is still the only one on that contract? Yep. Okay. Act 3, chaos and consequences. Because now that Clause 17.2 has been triggered, the project doesn't just slow down, it completely collapses. And the results are swift, they're catastrophic, and they are very, very expensive. Just look how fast it all falls apart. In less than 1 hour, engineering gets a stop work order. Then a major vendor literally packs up their gear and pulls their entire team. And then the big one, the client, the one with the $900 million on the line, their lawyers send a formal breach of contract notice. The whole operational spine of the project was just snapped. And this, my friends, is where the real pain starts. The penalty fee from that contract Blake and his team clearly never bothered to read, it kicks in immediately. $150,000 per hour. Let that sink in. This isn't some one-time fine. It's a running meter just ticking away, bleeding the company dry, all because of one guy's ego. This is a complete and utter disaster. So by the end of just the first day, the cost of sunsetting Margaret's role is already at $1.8 million. This financial avalanche is the direct result of their blunder, and well, it's what finally forces them to do something. So, on to Act 4, the boardroom reckoning. You can just imagine the vibe at this emergency board meeting, where the new visionary CEO has to explain why there's a financial time bomb ticking under their feet. So Alan, the legal counsel, he just calmly lays out the trap they walked into. He's not yelling, he's just reading directly from the contract. He explains that Margaret's name is right there in black and white, and that firing her was the breach. There's no way out, no loophole. It is a perfect, inescapable checkmate. And that's when a board member just explodes with the question that's on everybody's mind. And in that moment, every single eye in that room turns to Blake, who's probably sweating buckets under those fluorescent lights. His visionary leadership suddenly looks a lot more like a complete catastrophe. Then the realization just hits the entire room like a ton of bricks. The project is dead. They can't just put someone else in her spot. Not without a 14-day client review, a process Blake waived when he fired her. Their only option? They have to go crawling back to the very woman they just publicly humiliated.
And now for my favorite part, the final act, the Queen's terms. The power has shifted completely. A desperate email goes out to Margaret, but she's not coming back as just another employee. Oh no, she is coming back on her own terms.
This slide just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got their weak offer, a little salary bump, a bonus, a parking spot. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And on the right, her demands. 2% equity in the company, reporting directly to the board, Blake completely removed from the project, and her role made contractually impossible to eliminate. She isn't asking for her job back. She's fundamentally rewriting the entire power structure of the company. And just when you think it can't get any better, this happens. The client themselves steps in and backs Margaret 100%. They give the board an ultimatum. Either you bring her back on her terms or the entire $900 million deal is off. The board has zero leverage, none. They have to agree to every single thing. So when Margaret walks back into that office, man, the whole atmosphere has changed. Nobody's looking at her with pity anymore. They're looking at her with this new understanding of what real power looks like. She didn't just get her job back. She became a permanent, untouchable authority figure. And her first moves back are just so deliberate, so methodical. She gets her old badge. She puts her nameplate back on the door. Then she logs right into the compliance system. She goes straight to the source of her power to make damn sure this can never, ever happen again. She adds one final, beautiful line to the clause, cementing her position for good. Her authority is now permanent for the entire life of the project. It's the final, brilliant move in a game of corporate chess that Blake didn't even realize he was playing. She didn't just play by the rules. She rewrote them and became one. And really, that's what this is all about, isn't it? It's just this incredible lesson in knowing your worth, understanding leverage, and the massive danger of underestimating the quiet, competent people who actually make things run. It proves that the people you might overlook aren't just cogs in a machine. A lot of the time, they're the ones who built the machine in the first place. So it really makes you think, right? What happens when the person everyone takes for granted turns out to be holding all the cards?